Love thyself. If loving me is wrong, I have no desire to be right. Precious I am, healthy I am, present I am, at peace I am. In my sound mind I am. The toxins from outside entities that pierce my very soul desire to overtake me and will not loose its hold. Little did I know there was a war raging from the inside out. The light prevailed without a shadow of doubt. I realize so clearly now how much he truly loves me. He snatched me out of the lion's den when I felt like it were the end. He told me that at this point is where my life, my living, my radiance began. I feel so honored to be a part of the Herstory circle. I would like to thank God for the connection with Gertrude and for the platform to speak freely about this horrific situation. My name is Sheela Wiley, and this is my story. One day, my entire life changed before my very own eyes. It were a nightmare that I could not awaken from. I felt as if I were in a cold, dark, and dismal place. All my life, I've always wanted to help others. Because of my personality, people would read me the wrong way. I was really a shy and standoffish person. I am a person who goes by the book. It is either black or white, right or wrong. Because of this, oftentimes people looked at me as being a negative and difficult person. That was totally not true because whatever I put my hand to, I am really passionate. This is usually how I will become the victim of manipulation. You'd have thought that by the age of 45, I would have learned my lesson, but not so. For the past 5 years, I'd experienced the most heart wrenching and traumatic time in my life. I've been submerged into a cult. The cult was spearheaded by a few narcissist leaders. At the time, I had no clue of what a narcissist was. So you're probably wondering who signs up to be a part of a cult? Not me. Actually, the cult was hidden within a church. What appeared to be a church from the outside, what was going on the inside was an entirely different story. The funny part about this is that when I was in that setting, I knew that something was off. But because I was not expecting this type of deception in the house of God, I sort of overlooked it and prayed that the change would come. So, pretty much all of my life since childhood, I've been in the church. My father was a pastor. My family, we all went to church. I was reared up in the church. So, I pretty much knew what church looked like. Not only was this an occult, but the main leader was practicing witchcraft, while all the while everyone in there was being manipulated and deceived. So, how did I end up there? Well, there was a broadcast shared with me via social media, and from there, I'd followed the minister. I really enjoyed his teaching, which is why I continued to follow. And so, for those years, because the teaching was right, I just pretty much turned deaf eye or deaf ear to everything else that was going on. Throughout the years, it was like a lot of stuff that was going on that should not have been. And like I stated, I've been in church all of my life. There was a lot of manipulation. It was so much control. The control was out of this world. And I guess I'd gotten used to the control. I'd gotten used to the false accusations. I got used to things being hidden from us. I just got used to it. Then in July 2019, this resulted in me being in the worst year ever. This was the worst time of my life. I had lost my dad. And by July 2020, due to the abuse that I suffered as a result of being a part of this cult, the death of my marriage, yes, I became divorced. The entire time that I spent at this cult, I noticed that all I did was lose, lose, lose. I eventually pushed myself to leave. Otherwise, I'd have lost my mind as well. Although I lost so much from that place, meanwhile, those cult leaders, those narcissists were on to their next victims. There was no remorse for what happened to me. As a matter of fact, there were many lies told on me, and a lot of people whom I considered to be my friends turned their backs on me. It was a very sad and unpleasant situation. It is sad to say that the cult is still in operation. They are still going on a rampage of deceiving as many people as they can. While the main cult leader is getting richer and richer, the people who remain there are getting poorer and poorer. When I say that they're getting richer and richer, they will always have some reason to raise an offering to get money from people. While on their time, and I know I want to say alleged, but there was different things that were told to me where those leaders were sleeping with all of the members, be it female or male. And I was caught up in that. I was caught up in that. And I lost my marriage behind it. So if you remember, I stated that there was a lot of witchcraft going on with the main cult leader, because I know that if I were not under this witchcraft and demonic influence, my marriage will still be intact today. The narcissist wanted to have so much control over us that they would go to any means to try to control us. And if we did not operate under their control, they would try to do things to get us in line. I eventually went no contact. And once I went no contact, I learned what I was dealing with. It is ironic that I am speaking during the month of May. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health awareness ties into narcissistic abuse. Then June 1st is Narcissism Awareness Day. Just to let you know really quick, these are not normal relationships. This type of abuse is not seen by the natural eye. However, the depth of the pain and trauma pierces your heart, your soul, your mind, your spirit, and a lot of the times your wallet. All of these things happened to me. I was having anxiety attacks. I was losing sleep. I had to pray to God that I do not lose my hair. I lost my appetite. I lost 14 pounds. With my size, I had no business losing any more weight. It is in an unexplainable pain that is felt, and you will only understand the intensity of it when you have fallen prey to it. Who would have known that the very characteristics that I mentioned about myself earlier will one day make me a target? Narcissists prey upon the decent, empathetic, and honest people. Their goal is to turn a good person into a terrible person. I know that you have probably heard people using the term narcissist or narcissism to describe a person who only thinks of themselves, but there is much more to it. Narcissistic behavior is intentional and malicious. They come across as being a loving and concerned being. The goal of the narcissist is, be it a mom, dad, sister, brother, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, or friend, is to make you lose your mind. Now, it's been told that the worst narcissistic person are those within the occult or those that are within religion. I hate to say that, but this is where you find most of your narcissistic behavior. And I'm not saying that all of the churches out here have a narcissist ruling. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you will be able to notice a narcissistic leader, which those are cults, versus a church that is not practicing narcissism or that does not have a narcissistic leader. Since leaving this occult, I have become an advocate for narcissistic abuse. I come to bring forth awareness to this type of abuse. This type of abuse is not tangible, and because it is not tangible, it is often not taken seriously. It is even overlooked. A bit of statistics. There are about 304 million persons in the US. 1 in 25 people will have a disorder associated with a lack of conscience. This includes the antisocial personality disorder. Out of the 304 million people in the world, 12.16 million people who know what's right and wrong but do not care. Approximately 80.8 million people are negatively affected by narcissistic abuse. Yet the public awareness about narcissistic abuse is as invisible as the wounds of those abused. This information is coming from WNAAD.com. People have been known to die, become diagnosed with anxiety attacks, panic attacks, heart attacks, strokes, and the list goes on as a result of the trauma. I've even heard of stories where people become suicidal. Upon going no contact with the narcissist, it is not easy to forget the relationship due to the trauma bond. A trauma bond is a connection between an abusive person and the individual they abuse. It usually occurs when the abused person begins to develop sympathy or affection for the abuser. The bond develops over days, weeks, or months. It really took a lot for me to share with you today because if you've never experienced this kind of abuse, you may not be able to relate to our pain. I wanted to take a chance and cry out for help in hopes that one day something would be done to the perpetrators. I am seeking justice for all who have been victimized and ones who will come to know that they are victims. My testimony, however, is that I am on a journey to my recovery. If you would have seen me back a year ago, I did not appear, sound, or act the same. I've engrossed myself in prayer and meditation. I've been seeking counseling. I surround myself with positive people. I engage myself in activities that I like, and I practice self-care often. I literally had to force my way out of the pit. Because I chose to not linger in this trauma bond, I am 100 times better. My final note is there is life after leaving a narcissist. I urge you to fight and take your life back. Since taking my life back, the hurt and the pain that I experienced catapulted me into talking with you today. I definitely know that what I've experienced was not just for me, but for others who have and who are now experiencing this type of abuse. So today, I speak out as the wounds that cannot be seen by the naked eye. I speak out as the thoughts that are not heard. I speak out as the traumatized who is seeking deliverance from the day-to-day exhaustive pain derived from the abuser. I speak out as Sheela Wiley, an advocate, a voice for this social injustice. I will continue to use my voice and my testimony until the change comes.